A very good morning to dear students, parents. In this video, we are going to study about chapter 15 of class 6th, light. In this video, I'm going to explain you about light and shadow formation. So let's get started. What is light? Light is a form of energy that helps us to see things around us. It is making the things visible to us. Okay, whenever light it falls on an object, it makes that object visible to us. We are able to see that object because light is falling on that particular object. Okay, light have two sources, either a natural source of light or an artificial source of light. Natural source of light are your sun and stars. Artificial sources of light are your bulb, torch, tube light, the things which you need in your room to make the things visible. They are your artificial sources of light. Now the objects, they are classified as luminous object and non-luminous object. Luminous objects are the objects which emit light of their own, means which have their own light, like your sun, stars, they all come under luminous object. Your firefly, have you seen a firefly? It has its own light, so it is a luminous object. Okay, glowworm, it is also a luminous animal and a species. Is it clear? So luminous objects are those objects which can emit up their own light. Then we have non-luminous objects. Non-luminous objects are those objects which do not have light of their own but are visible when light falls on them. Okay, they are called as non-luminous object. For example, moon. You know moon in the sky. The moon is a non-luminous object because it does not have its own light. It is reflecting the light of the sun. You know, the light of the sun falls on this particular moon and it gets reflected back. That is your luminous, non-luminous objects. Okay, now the materials, you know, the different kinds of material are also classified on the basis of your light. The classification is as transparent, translucent and opaque. Transparent objects, translucent objects and opaque objects. Okay, the material which allow the light to pass through them are called as your transparent objects. Okay, they are allowing the light to pass through them, so that's why they are called as transparent object. Like for example, you have a thin plastic sheet, you have a glass, a window pane, they all come under your transparent object because they allow the light to pass through them. Air and water are also transparent object as they allow light to pass through them. Okay, then we have translucent objects. Translucent objects are the objects which allow only partial amount of light to pass through them. They are called as your translucent object. Okay, the object which will allow only a small amount of light to pass through it is called as your translucent object. For example, butter paper, muddy water, frosted glass, smoked glass, thin paper, they all come under your translucent object. Then is your opaque object. Opaque object are the object which do not allow light to pass through them. Okay, these material are very hard and they don't allow light to pass through them. They are called as opaque objects. The examples are wood, wall, book, all the things which are hard are your opaque object. Brick, metal, thick paper, aluminium foil, wood, stones, they come under your opaque objects. Okay, they will not allow the light to pass through them. Now when the light it passes through a material, it leads to a new phenomena, and that is your shadow formation. And shadow formation always takes place in your opaque object. Shadow, you remember the word shadow? Shadow in Hindi is called parchai. Okay, and this parchai is formed when the light it is obstructed by an opaque object. So what is shadow? Shadow is a dark shape produced when an opaque object comes between a source of light and a surface. Okay, which means that light it is traveling in a straight path, but if there is some obstruction in that particular light, it will lead to your shadow formation. Okay, like this shadow formation does not occur on earth only, it occurs in universe also. You all are clear about solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. They are also the result of shadow formation. So how this shadow is being formed? A shadow is being formed when a source of light is obstructed by an object and you have a screen, and the image or the shadow is formed on the screen. This is happening on earth. What is happening in the universe? Sun is acting as a source of light, and the planets, they are coming in between the path of that light and they are casting their shadow. For example, if we talk about solar eclipse. Now what happens in a solar eclipse? The sun, the moon and the earth, they come to lie in a straight line, and the moon obstruct the path of the light which is coming on the earth, and it casts its shadow on the earth. This is your solar eclipse. And what happens in a lunar eclipse? In a lunar eclipse, earth comes in between the path of sun and moon, and earth it casts its shadow on the moon, and thus the moon is not visible. This is your lunar eclipse. So shadow formation is when the obstruction is there in the path of the light. Okay, that is your shadow formation. Hope you have understood the concept of light and shadow formation. Thank you very much.